We are back. A very big decision from the Supreme Court today, and they voted in favor of gay marriage in all 50 states. The bans that were in existence in 11 states will no longer be viable. States would have to recognize gay marriages that were conducted in any state, because now it is clearly the law of the land, and there are people rejoicing across the steps of the Supreme Court. I'm joined now by Kevin MacCallum, who is a nationally syndicated radio talk show host and author of No He Can't, and columnist for townhall.com. And Bernard Whitman is a former pollster for President Bill Clinton and CEO of Whitman Insight Strategies. Gentlemen, welcome. Good to have both of you here today. All right, so, okay, sorry, I'm hearing a little something in my ear here. So, Bernard, let me start with you. Your reaction to this big decision today?
It's a watershed day in American history, because the Supreme Court has said that just because of who someone is and who they love, the U.S. government cannot discriminate. And I think that as a result, hundreds of millions of people across the country and around the globe may very well start to see gay and lesbian Americans in a very different light, as people who have the same hopes and dreams and aspirations as many, many others. It's an historic day. There's a lot of work to be done, but I'm extremely proud of what the Supreme Court did today. It's very much in line with the majority of Americans.
Let me just jump in for just a moment. We want to go to Mr. Obergefell, who is the plaintiff in this case and who's speaking right now. Let's listen a little bit of this.
Our nation will be better off because of it. I also hope that this decision has a profound effect in reducing the stigma, the hurt, the alienation and discrimination that LGBT people all too often feel when we live our lives openly and authentically. At the same time, while we will celebrate today's victory, my heart is also in Charleston. These past few weeks and months have been an important reminder that discrimination in many forms is alive and well in America. It reminds us of the deeply unfortunate reality that progress for some is not progress for all, and that there can be equally significant steps backward as there are forward. If we're truly dedicated to our democracy and the values that we as a nation cherish, we must be equally committed to ensuring that all citizens are treated equally, that all Americans deserve justice. That's when we're all united. I want to thank my legal team, and especially Al Gerhardstein, who stood by me every single step of the way. And thank you to ACLU, Lambda Legal, GLAD, and NCLR, and all of the litigators, plaintiffs, and organizations who fought for equality. Today's victory, our shared victory, was only possible because of each and every one of you. I'd like to give a special thank you to Mary Bonato and Doug Hallward-Drymeier, who brilliantly argued our case before the court and eloquently affirmed my life and relationship and those of millions of others like me across this country. We owe you all a huge debt of gratitude. But most importantly, I'd like to thank John for loving me, for making me a better man, and for giving me something worth fighting for. I love you. This is for you, John. Thank you.
Who brought this case before the Supreme Court and has fought for this day for a long time. We continue to get in reaction from all over the country to this very historic day and huge decision, the ramifications of it, the implications of it as we go forward. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Kevin MacCallum is with us this morning. He's a radio talk show host and the author of No He Can't. Kevin, I want to go straight to you because we didn't get to you before the break. Your reaction to this big decision this morning?
A couple of thoughts on this. For people that supported same-sex marriage before today's decision was handed down, nothing obviously has changed, in terms of what they believe. And I don't think it's changed anything in terms of the hearts and minds of those who oppose same-sex marriage. I think today the goalposts have changed, the line of scrimmage has moved, but I think you still have a deeply divided country. You had a deeply divided court that said two different worldviews. One, that sexual relationships as defined by culture don't mean very much, and something from another group that says actually those sexual relationships are very, very important. It's still a divided country. It's still a divided nation. This ruling doesn't really change that.
I just want to mention Justice Roberts. We're still going through all of the comments that we're getting here. He says, the court today not only overlooks our country's entire history and tradition, but actively repudiates it, preferring to live only in the heady days of the here and now.
That's true. And what he means by that is that the Supreme Court has never determined a case that was related to marriage or family law. Going back to the 1700s, they had always referred anything that related to marriage or family law back to the state courts. And by not only taking this case on, but making this kind of landmark decision, they've decided that now marriage is a federal rights issue, not a states' rights issue.
Yeah. Bernard, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'd have to disagree. I mean, in Loving v. Virginia, the Supreme Court was very clear in ruling that bans on interracial marriage are illegal. I think this issue is now settled. It's settled in the minds of the court, finally. And frankly, I have to disagree with Kevin because it's settled in the minds of the vast majority of Americans, who 6 in 10 of whom support the freedom to marry, including strong majorities of men, of women, of Catholics, of mainline Protestants. And in fact, increasing numbers of Republicans support the freedom to marry. And I think that it's going to cause some problems for the Republicans, many of whom who are running for president support trying to go at this issue again and again, try to divide the country with an effort to amend the Constitution. And the fact is, 2 in 3 independents who are key to winning the presidential election next year favor the right to marry. So I feel like if the Republicans continue down this road to divide the country on an issue that for the majority are settled, it's going to pose problems for them.
Kevin's shaking his head. What do you think, Kevin?
Well, I think that what Bernard is saying is partly incorrect. I don't think that those stats are accurate, but I do agree with him on this level that this will have some life in the 2016 cycle. Republicans are obviously going to have to adjust their strategies as how they're going to address it, but I don't think it's going to be exiting the conversation. I think just like Roe v. Wade, I think it's going to become more and more prominent in the conversation.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.